Hello, and welcome back to Spittin' Sports with Lamar. I am Casey Lamar, and I'm coming at you from the 256. In this one, I'm going to be doing my NFL picks for Week 15. Picks for Week 15 will be this video. I wanted to go ahead and say last week I went 8-8. I only went 500. My record is 128-80 now. Terrible to go at 500. Going to change that this week. And it all starts with the game Thursday night. So let's go ahead and get the picks started here. Tomorrow night, Thursday night, probably the Thursday night game of the year. You've got the Chargers, who are trailing the Chiefs in the AFC West. But you got the LA Chargers at the Kansas City Chiefs Thursday night. Two very good teams. Chargers are great defensively and offensively. The Chiefs are great offensively for the most part. Their defense is not as good. But the Chiefs are 11-2. Chargers are 10-3. Chiefs won the first matchup in LA. I expect this to be a good game, a high-scoring game, more than likely. The Chiefs struggled at home with the Ravens last week. I expect them to struggle against the Chargers, but I think the Chiefs, they just edge out the Chargers, and they pretty much wrap up. They wrap up the AFC West. That'll put them at 4 losses. That'll put the Chargers at 4 losses, and the Chiefs would hold a 2-game advantage over the Chargers. So they would hold the tiebreaker. So Chiefs, I think they clinched the division on Thursday night and beat the Chargers. Now we're getting into Saturday games. We got 2 games on Saturday afternoon this week. And it all starts with the Texans at the Jets at 3:30 on the NFL Network on Saturday. The Texans suffered their first loss in their last 9 games. They went on a 9-game winning streak, and then they lost to the Colts. But they're playing the Jets this week. That's pretty much all you need to know. The Texans, I think they get back on the right track, and they beat the Jets on Saturday. The next one should be an interesting game at 7:20 on the NFL Network on Saturday. 7:20 my time, 8:20 Eastern time. You got the Browns at the Broncos. The Broncos, they went to San Francisco and got beat last week, surprisingly. The Browns, they beat the ever-struggling Panthers. The Browns, they've looked really good as of late. The Broncos had started to look better until last week. Obviously, they're missing Emmanuel Sanders, but I expect a good game, expect a close game, but I like the Broncos to pull it out at home. Give me Denver. Now we get into Sunday's matchups here. The first game on the list, Packers at the Bears. We all know Packers came storming back to open the season on Sunday Night Football against the Bears. But the Bears are a different team, and they're at home. We saw what they did at home against the Rams this past Sunday. I think they do that again to the Packers. I think the Bears get it done, and they pretty much lock up. I guess that would probably lock up the division for the Bears. But I think the Bears at home are too strong for the Packers. Bears win. Next, you got the Lions at the Bills, who really was going to pay much attention. They're both not very good. The Lions picked up a win last week. The Bills fell to the Jets at home. It's a toss-up, but I think the Bills pick up their 5th win of the season, and they beat the Lions. Next, you got the Bucs at the Ravens, the Buccaneers. They're number 2 overall in offense, number 1 in passing. The Ravens have the number 2 defense. Lamar Jackson has looked good for the Ravens. I think he continues to look good for the Ravens. The Buccaneers, they turn the ball over too much, and I think that'll be their downfall against Baltimore. Baltimore picks up the win, stays in the playoff hunt over the Bucs. The Cardinals at the Falcons, battle of the birds. 2 teams not going to the playoffs. 1 team's going to be a top pick in the draft. The Falcons, they're fighting to be a top pick in the draft right now too. At 4-9, but the Falcons' offense way too much for the Cardinals when all is said and done. The Cardinals have the worst offense in the league, so they might score some points against the Falcons' defense. But the Falcons at home, I think they beat the Cardinals, and they beat the Cardinals rather easily on Sunday. Next, you have the Raiders. They picked up the win this past Sunday at the Bengals. The Bengals, they played the Chargers much closer than I anticipated, and the Raiders, they beat the Steelers. To the surprise of everyone, except for maybe their fans, but possibly even their fans. But Bengals, worst defense in the league right now. The Raiders, they're not playing too great either. Obviously, they're at 3-10. But the Bengals, no quarterback, no defense. I think the Raiders go on the road and they pick one up against Cincinnati. Next, you have the most consistent, inconsistent team in the league, the Tennessee Titans, traveling to New York to take on the Giants. Maybe we'll see another Derrick Henry show. I think it would be fun to see the Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley show. I bet that would be a phenomenal game to see. The Titans play good defense. Offense not so great. This one's hard to pick because of the Titans' inconsistencies. They just beat up on the Jags, which should be no surprise to anybody that they beat the Jags. But the way they did it with Derrick Henry just absolutely embarrassing the Jaguars. But right now, the Titans, it's time for them to make a push for possible playoff spot. They should win this game. They should win next week to set up a final Week 17 matchup with the Colts sitting at 9-6. And I think Tennessee, they get the job done. They do what they have to do. They somehow scrounge one out in a close game against the Giants. The Giants have looked much better the last several weeks. But I think the Titans pull out a close one in New York. Next, you have the Dolphins, fresh off the Miami Miracle, headed to the Vikings. The Vikings got embarrassed on Monday Night Football. They got slapped around. They got slapped around by the Seahawks for 59 minutes of that football game. They could do absolutely nothing. But they're at home. They're playing Miami. I think it's time for they had the highest of highs. I think it's time for the Dolphins to have a low in this football game. The Vikings, they got to do everything they can to keep fighting for a playoff spot. And I think they will do that. And I think they beat the Dolphins on Sunday. And next you have the Redskins at the Jags. Another game that doesn't mean much. The Redskins, they have no quarterback play anymore with that awful injury to Alex Smith. The Jaguars completely gave up against Tennessee really before the game really got going. And they didn't act like they wanted to be a part of it until after Derrick Henry had 4 touchdowns. And they were down by 21. But the Jags, I just think they win home field advantage and the lack of quarterback play from the Redskins. I know the Jags have quarterback issues too. But they're at home. I think they find a way to pull one out. Next, you have the Cowboys at the Colts. A long one, a big one going towards the playoffs for the Colts. Cowboys are on the road riding a 5-game win streak. I'm going to say the Cowboys make it 6 in a row. I say the Cowboys beat the Colts, put the Colts back at 500. And the Cowboys continue their role in the NFC East. The way that Amari Cooper's played, Dak's been playing much better. Cowboys over Colts. Next, you have the Seahawks at the 49ers. I don't think you have to say much here. The Seahawks are a much better team than the 49ers. The 49ers took one from Broncos last week, but I'll go Seattle over 49ers. Next, you have the Patriots at the Steelers. Huge game, especially as far as seeding goes. Patriots off that loss in Miami on the Miami Miracle. I think they lose 2 in a row. They haven't looked very good on the road this year. I think they fall to the Steelers in Pittsburgh on Sunday afternoon. Then you have the Eagles at the Rams. The Eagles, they're in a world of hurt, especially after losing last week to the Cowboys. The Rams, they're back home after that no-show that they had against the Bears on Sunday night. But the Rams are at home, playing a struggling Eagles team. Rams, they take home the win and improve to 12-2. They improved to 12-2 on Sunday Night Football. Then the Monday night matchup, you have the Saints, one of the best teams in the league, facing a team that was sitting at 6-2 at one time, but now have lost 5 in a row. The 6-7 Panthers. I think the Saints, it'll probably be a close game because it's in Carolina, but I think the Saints put away the Panthers, continue their roll towards the number 1 seed in the NFC. Give me the Saints over Panthers. That is all the games for Week 15. Those are my picks. Let me know what you're thinking for this week's games down in the comments below. Who you want to see, what you expect out of some teams, those kind of things. Leave a like, share the content, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this, as well as all the others that I put out there. But this has been Spittin' Sports with Lamar. I am Casey Lamar. I look forward to seeing you all in the next video.